Hi there, it's Jax again, and I'm making a video to show my latest knife that I've made here. Yes, this knife is made out of 5160 spring steel, a steel known for its exceptional toughness. Toughness meaning that it could take a hell of a beating, and it has quite a reputation for its toughness. It's used in stuff like automotive springs and other things that require that type of toughness. It makes an excellent blade, and a lot of blacksmiths and bladesmiths and forgers. It's popular with that type of individuals. Anyways, so this is made out of 5160 spring steel. The blade is what you would call a skinner or a hunting knife format, in that it has the typical shape of a skinning knife, which is to say a lot of belly to the blade, and perhaps the broadness of the blade itself, used to field dress animals and process the animal. Or this would also make an excellent slicer for cooking around the house, cutting cheese, meat, chopping vegetables, that kind of thing. Or in general, it might make an excellent utility knife, perhaps whatever your cutting needs might be. So anyways, yeah, on with the knife there. 5160 spring steel. It has red G10 handles here, and G10 is a man-made synthetic material known for its outstanding toughness and durability. It has, you can see a bit of tiger stripe patterns in the material itself, and those are created, those are part of the it's the way this material is layered. So anyways, G10 is it's almost like carbon fiber or fiberglass, in that it's material that's layered and then soaked in epoxies and compressed with super high compression and weight to form a very stable and solid material, which is, I believe it's chemical and weather resistant and extremely wear resistant and so forth. It's nice to work with. It can be a little bit hazardous, they say, but it's a joy to grind, and it comes in all sorts of neat colors and texture. There's many things you can do to it, many different colors and many different looks it has. You can get it in all sorts of different different types. So when you grind it at an angle, if you had blue and black G10, it would make as you ground the layers down, it would make layering effects, which looks really neat. This not so much in this knife because it's more red and white, and I don't have a macro setting to really show you that. But I polished it with a bunch of things, and it's pretty shiny. There's a bit of the tiger striping. Anyways, moving along, the hardware, the bolts and nuts used for this particular knife, and this knife is what you'd call a full tang knife, which means that the entire handle is all steel, and they would call that a full tang knife, known for its exceptional strength, and it's probably the strongest type of knife you can get. It's all one-piece steel, so it's a full tang. If it was a hidden tang or a half tang, this metal would only come up to, say, here, and it would be encapsulated within the handle material if it was a hidden tang, and then pinned in. But this is a full tang blade. So yeah, full tang blade with black liners. Between the red and the steel here, there's the vulcanized liner material, which might be electricity proof, but it also adds some style. It's very, very pleasant to look at. And this knife has a choil. A choil is a area that allows your finger to choke up on the knife. Say this blade came straight down, it wouldn't have this curvature here. So this is the choil, and it allows you to really choke up on the knife to do all sorts of fine work and stuff like that. This blade is what has what is called a tapered blade, which means that as it goes towards the point, it narrows to form an acute point, and it's actually more acute than you might think. It's hard to really get unless I have a dark color. It's very, very sharp, and that is what is called a tapered blade. Some people that are very skilled will taper it in the other way too, so that taper also runs to the end of the handle, which puts the balance point midway for perfect balance. I haven't figured out I haven't tried it or done that yet, but it's what some of the high-end custom knife makers do. So this knife had a hole in it, and that hole was there for me to bolt the knife to a jig while I was achieving this profile. And when I went to put the handles on, the G10 wasn't able to cover it because of the angle here. So I went and I put a reconstituted synthetic piece of turquoise in there to fill the hole. I could have left it empty or whatever, but whatever. Also, this knife has what is called a flat grind. Now that means that from the spine here, which is the back of the knife, to the very edge of the blade, it curves down from the spine down to the cutting edge. So it is a very acute pyramidal or triangular shape, is what's called a flat grind, different than a saber grind or a hollow grind or anything like that. And then it has one bevel, it has a secondary bevel, and that's the actual cutting bevel at the very end here. So a flat grind is there because it's so streamlined and so profiled that if you see it at this angle, it's very acute, almost like a hollow grind. And of course that means better slicing, perhaps less strength than a Scandi grind or a saber grind, but extreme slicing ability because of its extreme concavity or whatever, if that's a real word. But it's very, very, very thin profiled, almost like a very, very sharp triangle. What the hell is that? Yeah, so anyways, that makes an excellent slicing knife for draw slicing or skinning or what have you. The hardware, did I mention it was brass and stainless steel. So it's two different colors, if you can see there. The stainless steel center and the brass outer portion there. And then of course stainless steel bolts on this side here, sunk into the handle, and this side's flush. So yeah. Another thing this knife is sporting is something that is called a hamon. Now a hamon is, for people familiar with Japanese swords or Japanese weapons, like a samurai sword, a hamon is a line on the blade, and it's not a very, very pronounced hamon, but this line going up is the hamon. or hamon I should say. So that line there that you see is the hamon, and the hamon is produced by edge differential quenching, which means that when this knife is heat treated, when I quenched it to achieve the hardness, the whole knife didn't get quenched. Sometimes some blades get quenched from the tip to the back of the handle, and quenching transforms the steel from a softer steel into an incredibly hard steel. Steel changes its microstructure during heating and cooling, and if you heat a blade up until it's past the Curie point, which is the non-magnetic point, and you could use that by testing it with a magnet when it's glowing cherry hot. This knife will be heated until it's red hot, I mean glowing bright cherry hot, and then it will be quickly dipped in oil or water, depending on what steel you're using. And when you do that, it transforms. I believe it's austenite, which is a crystal formation, or it's a structure formation in steel. It transforms it into martensitic steel structure with carbides trapped into solution there, which makes, long story short, it makes the knife extremely hard. It is then brittle at that point, so it needs to be what is called tempered, and you would draw back the hardness by heating it at a set temperature to reduce the Rockwell hardness to achieve the desired level of hardness. And with knife making, you want to have a balance between hardness and between strength and toughness, and all sorts of these things end up making the final result and how well the blade will hold its edge. Too hard and the blade might chip at the edge when you're sharpening it, and too soft and the edges will roll or deform. So it's about achieving a balance for the particular steel. Each steel has its own characteristics. This steel is a chromium-based steel, which has a bit of chromium in it. It's a medium carbon steel, so it's about 0.60% carbon with some chromium and perhaps some other alloys in it. So anyways, back to the hamon. So that's differential quenching, which means that anything above this line here is a very tough metal. It's tougher and it's less hard. But anything below that line is a fully hardened piece of steel. So this blade actually has differential hardness. This is softer and very strong. You can hammer it, and it would, instead of cracking or being brittle, it'll just perhaps put dents in it. Very, very tough. And anything beyond, and then to retain a very good edge holding, it requires the strength, and which is synonymous with the hardness. So this is perhaps not a very pronounced hamon, but it is a hamon nonetheless. And yeah, so I guess that's a little preview of my knife there. And so there she be. Anyways, it's about 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm out here sipping my tea, making knife videos, and it's a little bit chilly, but here we are in good old Mario Lake. And anyways, thanks for watching.